This is Metabolic Radio, the podcast dedicated to keeping you informed when it comes to everything fitness. My name is Taylor Empey, and with the help of my co-host Shane Pace, we aim to expose the truths about the health and fitness industry. The information and suggestions given in this podcast should not be considered as clinical or medical advice. Consult with a physician before implementing any information provided on this podcast. And we're back with another episode of Metabolic Radio.
Both of us?
Apparently, yes.
I guess I did respond. That means I am here.
Here we are.
Strange.
This is happening.
Strange.
So, I chose a topic.
He did choose a topic.
And I'm speaking to you, the listeners, now.
Yes, because
I chose a topic that I feel strongly about.
Ach.
So, we're gonna have a little powwow.
See.
This topic is the real reasons why you have failed to meet your goals, why you haven't gotten the body that you want, and why you continue to rebound over and over again and be dissatisfied with the results that you have had with your fitness.
Does it have anything to do with fitness trackers?
Fitness what?
Trackers.
Trackers? Oh, I think you said tractors. I was like, I didn't know there was
I may have, because my pronunciation was very horrendous.
We should invent this, a fitness tractor.
No, they used to use that with horses. You just get in front of it
and you pull the horse.
And you pull the horse. No, you don't pull the horse, dude. You take the horse off.
That's real horsepower.
That really is. That's yes.
How many horses can you move?
That would be impressive. I don't think you
love how we introduce the topic, then we totally don't even talk about the topic.
That would be funny.
And then once you get our goofy stuff out, then we come back.
Well, that is something I do like to do. I have a tendency towards that.
Yeah.
I do.
Mm-hmm. I'm the organization side of this.
Rugu.
What?
Guru?
Oh. Rugu?
Rugu.
I'm a fitness Rugu.
I'm a fitness Rugu.
Babbling.
I like it.
But I'm serious.
Okay. Then I will be more so.
Okay. Let me clarify that in rare instances, well, not rare. In some cases, people do the 100% best that they can, put in all their energy and their commitment, and still sometimes suffer from a lack of results because of factors they don't understand, like we've talked about with metabolic damage and just education about nutrition and fitness and things like that in general.
Even talking about obesity last time.
Yeah, exactly. So for sure, there are going to be people that are like, what are you talking about? I 100% put my entire focus and shifting my lifestyle into this, and I still have problems that I've run into. However,
there's a big spectrum on this too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can argue me on this one too, but
I doubt it.
The reason I say this, and I'll say it again, the real reasons why you've failed to meet your fitness goals, or the real reasons why you have failed to meet your goals, why you have haven't gotten the body that you want, and why you continue to rebound and be dissatisfied with your results, is because you have looked at fitness incorrectly. You have the wrong mindset and approach to fitness and beliefs about what fitness is. And so ultimately it's your fault. And I say this because I think the way that I view it is that many people view fitness as an external thing from their life. That if I'm going to engage in a fitness program, I'm going to hire a personal trainer, I'm going to buy a program, and it is something that is I'm investing in now so that I can be done with it later. And that's ultimately going to set people up for failure.
Wow.
Yeah, for failure. Failure.
I'm glad you changed that because, that changed the entire topic.
There's a lot of people that, and I get it, man, like due to lifestyle, due to life commitments, due to so many different stressors, due to work commitments and family commitments and all these other commitments, it's hard to say I'm going to commit to this one other thing. It's hard enough to say you're going to commit to it short term. True. It's even much harder to say I'm going to commit to this for my life. And that's the ultimate reason why people fail, is they view it as a short-term solution to a chronic problem.
I have, according to success.com,
oh yeah,
February
Success
3rd,
magazine?
2015, The 7 Reasons Why We Fail.
Really?
Yep.
So is that written by Darren Hardy? Or just one of his?
Harvey McKay.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And
I listened to his stuff.
Here is the 7 reasons. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'm going to read the 7
I
reasons.
do trust this source for personal development reasons.
And that's legit.
Or
lack of persistence. So that corresponds with what you were saying.
Consistency.
Lack of conviction.
Yeah.
Rationalizations.
Oh, yeah. Oh, big time. Thinking errors are a huge part of it.
Dismissal of past mistakes. Lack of discipline. Poor self-esteem. And fatalistic attitude.
And that is his opinion on why people fail in general?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that corresponds.
Absolutely. For
Quite
sure.
well,
and that's what it comes down to is it's
believe it or not, the laws based on failing are laws, and they are legit.
Really?
Sure. I would call those definitely legit laws. And yes, I did turn away from the mic, and yes, I did go quieter. I will say that. Yes, he did give me grief, people. Not this time, but before.
So,
and it was legit.
But I think you make a good point in that personal development is actually a really big part of this.
For sure.
Because personal development is...
What do you think this is?
Lifestyle change.
That's what I was going to say. This is personal development.
It's changing the way that you think. It's changing your mindset. It's changing the way you live your life. It's changing the choices you make, the beliefs you have,
for sure,
the feelings you experience. And if you listen, I listen to a lot of personal development. And when I say listen, I typically do audio. I do read a lot. I haven't read a lot lately. And that's a part of, what I want to work on with my personal development is I want to get back to reading a lot.
That's a timeline.
And that is a commitment.
You're a busy person.
Yeah.
You have to put it in perspective and work it in your schedule.
Yeah, like everybody else has to, and it comes down to the same thing with fitness. But it has to be there's a psychological component involved, and many people view fitness as okay. Like I said, it's this temporary, short-term thing that I'm going to engage in. I'm going to see great results, and then I'm going to be good after. But people forget that whatever you do to get fit or to get in shape is something you're going to have to maintain. Otherwise, you will regress either partially or potentially all the way back to where you started, depending on what you're willing to and able to commit to long term for maintenance.
Well, the honest key to this is when it talks about discipline and what I just read is, again, and we've said it more than once, it's a lifestyle change.
Mm-hmm.
Fitness is not a destination; it's a journey, and you do it on a continual basis.
It's a choice, and every day that you wake up, you either choose to be fitness oriented or you don't.
Yep.
You choose to live a healthy lifestyle or you don't.
Discipline, all those, like I said, those 7 points are a great definitive for any failing point that you've chosen this direction to not actually pursue what you think you're trying to pursue.
Yeah. I think that I think I had mentioned it earlier, but one of the quotes that you see on social media from a lot of fitness people, well, actually, you know what? I haven't seen it from that many fitness people. I've seen it from a couple. But they say it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle.
Yep.
And that's 100% true. This isn't some program that you're just going to do temporarily. This isn't, and though those things will help you get there, and those are aspects of a lifestyle change, depending on what they are. But you have to realize if you want to get in, even just good shape and maintain it, or if you want to get in the best shape of your life, or if you want to perform better, have better energy, live longer, avoid metabolic syndrome and other chronic diseases associated with it, and live a good quality life, health is the cornerstone of that. And you have to be willing to say, I'm going to commit to that for life.
Well, let's talk about a key person that did that. Jack LaLanne.
Go for it.
He is one of the most amazing guys in history for fitness, without question. I mean, the guy was a phenomenal beast by the time he went, to lay down forever. I mean, he was. I want to look it up. I'm going to look it up. I have to look it up because I don't want to give you misfacts. But he had like 7 boats that he towed from what was that prison?
Oh, Alcatraz.
Yeah. He pulled with like 10 people in each boat is crazy.
Yep.
So I am now going to look that up.
Yeah, and it's amazing what the feats that people can accomplish. That's just a perfect analogy to show that really people you're only limited by your how you limit yourself. You're capable of so much more than you think, and integrating fitness into your life permanently is perfectly doable. Will it be uncomfortable? Yeah, to say the least, for sure. Because you have to completely the whole life that you've lived up to this point, whether that's been short-term, been unhealthy, and you've been fit before, or whether you've been unhealthy your whole life, that's not an easy thing to shift. But that is what has shaped where you're at, and you chose that lifestyle, and you can choose to change that despite how hard it might be to overcome. I think people need to realize that. I think people need to realize we live in a quick fix society. We live in a society where we get what we want now because we can finance it and pay it later. We instant gratification.
Right, that's normal.
The power at our fingertips with the internet. We can get anything we want. I could get food delivered to us right now.
Well, prime example, I just looked this up.
Yeah, I could order groceries and have them delivered to my house tomorrow morning. Like, there's just this instant gratification society where people think, oh, I want to be like that. I'm just going to, snap my fingers and I'm going to be fit, or I'm going to do this short-term thing and then I'm going to be fit and then everything will be good. No, it is work. It is tough, and it is something that you have to be willing to say, this is now my new life.
That's what I'm saying. It's a journey.
Yeah.
It's not a destination. People have this delusion that it's a destination. It's not. I mean, you can have a goal that you hit a certain weight, and you hit it, and that's not a failure. You then quit and go off and do something else.
But guess what?
It's an ultimate failure in your health of your body. I mean, it really is.
A lot of people suffer from that. A lot of people set these goals, and like, let's say someone loses 100 pounds or more. They transform their body. They get to this awesome fitness. They get to this super low body fat percentage. They look great. They look lean. They look muscular. They're happy. All of a sudden, their world is shattered because they're like, okay, well, I accomplished that. Now what?
Right.
And you got to realize that's just the beginning. That just got you to fitness.
And that's
now
my
it's
point.
a matter of, okay, keeping that as a part of your lifestyle for all the good benefits, the psychological benefits, the health benefits, whatever it is that motivates you. There can be, tons of different motivating factors, but it is something that you're going to have to realize is a long-term permanent change.
Well, let me give you an example of, like I said, Jack LaLanne is a prime example of this being a journey, not a destination. Jack LaLanne, in 1955, at the age of 41, swam from Alcatraz to Fisher's Wharf, a distance of 1.23 miles, while handcuffed.
And he was towing boats with a rope in his mouth, wasn't it? Wasn't that the story?
No, this is age 41.
Okay.
At age 43, in 1957, he swam the Golden Gate Channel while towing a cabin cruiser.
Whoa.
Which weighed 2,500 pounds. In 1958, at age 44, paddled nonstop for 9.5 hours, 30-mile trip. In 1974, at the age of 60, he repeated his 1955 Alcatraz stunt, but in addition to the handcuffs, he was also shackled and towing a 1,000-pound boat. In 1976, at age 62, he celebrated the U.S. bicentennial by swimming 1 mile, again shackled and handcuffed, while towing 13 boats with 76 people on board.
That's ridiculous.
And he died at the age of 96.
That's crazy.
Like I said, to him, that was his life. His life was keeping himself in shape and being able to do what he needed to do.
Being able to do seemingly impossible things.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
He was one of the most phenomenal guys ever in fitness.
And it's just like all these other, and not to demean that because that's awesome, but there's so many examples of that in the world. Mm-hmm. And they're just perfect analogies to be like, if they can do that, you can adopt a basic fitness lifestyle into your life. Yep. But you have to want it.
Yep.
It has to be a priority for you. It can't be this quick fix mentality. And honestly, it's I'd argue it's not even worth engaging in if you're coming at it from that perspective. If you're coming at it from this short term, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be done with it.
That's not fair. I wouldn't say it's not worth doing. I think you need to open your horizons. Doing something is better than doing nothing. So if they even go a short journey, and have a destination that they stop
Well,
at.
and
At
they could
least
change their perspective along the
and
way.
hopefully they will. And that's the only reason why I differ on that, because the honest to goodness truth is, when you start to actively move forward, it makes it easier to move forward, and you have more of a desire usually to move forward because you can see the effects.
Yeah.
If you don't do anything, I think it's the worst option. That being said, it's in stages. Okay,
for sure.
But that's, like I said, that's why I wanted to read those 7 points. I thought, taking into account that any failure in life stems off those 7 points. They really do. And so when you tie it again with fitness, if you don't have the discipline, you're not going to move forward. Yeah. If you don't keep pushing yourself, you're not going to move forward. If you give excuses, you're not going to move forward. Just
like in anything in life, like whether you graduated from university with a degree, whether you achieved a doctorate, whether you forged the life that you want to have minus the fitness aspect, whether you bought all the material things that you want, you earn the income that you want, you found the perfect person to marry, you have the children and family and all the happy other things in your life. You did that because you made it a priority and you worked your butt off for it.
To an extent, anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so fitness is the same thing. If you want that, it is one of those, in my opinion, one of the top highest, best things you can have in life. Because if you don't have your health, what do you have? You don't have a good life. You have a shortened life. You have a poor quality of life. You can't give energy and time and commitment to the people that you love as much. You
have a better quality of life. In fairness to people that may have different issues that cause them to not be able to do a fitness lifestyle, they may have a short life. They may make the best of it. But that being said, your quality of life improves in leaps and bounds if you're fit.
Dramatically.
If you're fit to the highest level that you can be, you can do more things. You can get more things done in if you will, a shorter period of time.
You can experience more.
You have more doors that are open. I mean, those that might be locked to a wheelchair, and not be able to do anything. Let's take Christopher Reeve as an example.
I've seen people in wheelchairs climb up multi-stations and do pull-ups.
I get
what
that.
I mean?
I know that. And this is why I was bringing up Christopher Reeve as an example.
I'm not familiar.
Christopher Reeve, when he Superman, who I'm speaking of.
Okay.
And when he was thrown off his horse, it made it so that he didn't have the capacity to do those kind of things anymore. It just stopped him. And he was in really pretty good physical condition at the time. But it stopped his potential of being able to do this. It didn't stop him from having a life that was worth living, but his doors were shut because he didn't have the capacity to move forward. I mean, he was still locked within.
Life itself is dramatically valuable.
Absolutely,
but
make the best of what you've got.
But how many facets of your life that your health impacts is
exactly what I'm saying.
Almost all of them.
Exactly what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that there's people out there that don't have the capacity to do certain things. That being said, take what you've got and go forward to the best of your ability. And if you're in a wheelchair and you have full access to your arms, you can still move. You can still do crazy, amazing things with pull-ups and push-ups and wheelchairs, that honestly an average person wouldn't be able to do. You can have a high level of fitness in that. Okay, take what you've got and move forward with it. I think that's crucial in this. I think failure again is based on your limitations. You stop yourself and block. And if you take those limitations that you're self-imposing away, even if you have physical limitations, you can still move forward a lot of times and still do things. And I think that's kind of key to what you're saying. I really think a lot of this is so driven by the individual. It is no matter what. Yeah. Right. And I think that they need to open their vision and say, what can I do more? What can I do to make myself better?
People tend to have this limiting belief system around what they're capable of, about their beliefs of who they are as a person, who they are in the world, what they can realistically commit themselves to. A lot of people rule out changing certain commitments in their life to be able to commit to other things.
Right, but that's a choice.
Can't do it. It's impossible.
But that's a choice.
Yeah.
So let's take an example in yours and my life. Exactly. This podcast. Okay. How long did it take us to do this? Because we've been talking about
over a year.
Well over a year, right? And the honest to goodness truth is, there was factors that we both had going that made it difficult to start it. But when we started it, we still had those factors, and we
Yes,
still
we
just
did.
moved.
Nothing changed.
Exactly right.
Our lives, in fact, it could be argued our lives were busier and more stressful.
And I think they still, in a lot of ways, are even to this second. We're
think
still doing it.
Well, I think that drove us to it because we realized
that.
if we don't
For
do
sure.
it now, we'll never do it.
Yes, and that was a lot of truth to that.
And we're sitting here sacrificing a lot of our personal time
Yep.
to do it. And we don't say that to guilt trip anybody.
Nope,
but we say
not at all.
we or feel bad for us because whatever. It's our choice. We chose this.
No, this is
And we chose it because we finally placed it in our mind as a certain priority.
exactly.
And after that, it became easy.
Well,
it's easy to do this now because
it has some fun to it too.
Yeah,
but
we changed the way we looked at it.
exactly, and I think the whole fitness concept ties into this beautifully because people use excuses. I'll do it next week. I will put it off till next year. I'm going to wait till January 1st. I'm going to do whatever, and it's an excuse to not do it.
Yeah.
Why aren't you leg pressing? Well, because I just don't like doing leg presses. Why aren't you squatting? Because squats are too hard. I'm going to do over here, instead of squatting, I'm going to leg press. I'm going to do leg extensions. I'm going to do whatever as an exercise. And that's when somebody's in the gym. Let's talk about, oh gosh, I'll give examples of my life right now. Let's again, I'm a little ashamed of it, but I'm not going to hide what's gone on in my life recently. Because of the temperature and the job that I do, it has absolutely taken it out of me. So what's happened? I've gotten home and I've said, I can either go to the gym or I can go to sleep. And my first thought is, I'm going to sleep. And so my last probably month and a half, you and I've talked a little bit about it, month and a half has been trying to get through the summer because I'm so burned out. Is that an excuse? 100% that's an excuse.
For sure.
And I'm mentally starting to get out of that.
Yeah, but it's also, and that's the thing. Just because something is an excuse, on the flip side, doesn't mean it's
not legitimate.
Not legitimate.
Right.
It's just that you have to recognize this is an excuse. I'm not ready because of this reason.
It's priorities.
It's a different priority level right now. That's fine. Just be honest with yourself. And yeah, I think that kind of summed that point up. But.
No, and I think, like I said, I think you have a good point towards it because, as just being a person, we all have things that we fight. Okay, you and I both know that I like to lift. You like to lift. It's something for us. It's a lot easier to do. But even with that, do I have an excuse? I do have an excuse. It's, in my eyes, it's semi-legitimate because my job requires me to be on the road a lot, and if I'm not getting adequate sleep, it's a massive problem. That being said, I still could find time to do it if I really wanted to do this right now.
Yeah.
Right now, I am absolutely actively using an excuse not to go forward with it. Am I going to change that? Without question, I am, because that's something I'm drawn to. Yeah. It makes it easier for me to pursue it.
Well, and it's analogous to, like we just said, when we finally committed to starting the podcast. In my mind, I think you were way more ready before I was, to be honest, because you were constantly talking to me about it. Like, when are we going to do it? And I kept, excuse this, excuse that. And I kept looking at it as, how is this negatively going to impact my life?
Yes.
And that's, of course,
in
why
fact,
I didn't
talked
do
about
it.
that too.
Because I was
talked about that.
Dude, I'm juggling full-time school, full-time
Training.
work, online stuff, a relationship.
It was all true.
And trying to have a social life and get adequate sleep because I talk about how you got to get enough sleep, and I wasn't, and sometimes I still don't. I'm doing better with that now, but I was like, how is this going to negatively impact my life? I was looking for a reason to tell you no. Because I wasn't ready to commit to it because it wasn't a priority. But then I saw the potential and I saw how it could positively impact my life. I said, wait, if I do the podcast and I sacrifice certain things and we do this and we commit to it long term, what are the outcomes that could take place? And I kept coming up with positive outcomes and in ways that it would impact my life and help me grow and help me expand and help me learn and help me educate other people, which drives my sense of purpose and contribution to the world, because it's very important for me that I help other people. For sure. Because that's now an integrated part of my life. And if I'm not helping people, I feel ashamed as a person. Sure. And
which I will validate because I know that on a personal, from knowing you as long as I have.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but it wasn't until and this is the key point I want to make, is that it wasn't until I started to focus on the benefits that I would see from it versus the negative things that would come as a result. All those negative things still happened. It's taking up personal time. It probably cuts into sleep. It creates more projects on
sure.
workload outside of my
Well,
work
you
and my
and
school
I,
and
crazy.
all that.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It
Yep.
limits social events and activities and things like that. We're sitting here recording this at 8 p.m. on a Friday evening,
Right.
because we value this. But so all those factors are still the same. It didn't change.
Right.
All that changed was my perspective. I said, then all of a sudden I just texted you or called you and we were like, let's do this.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
Because I realized,
Which I think we did it within about 2 weeks at that point.
yeah, once we decided, boom, it was up and going.
Yep.
Like it was that fast. And
Yep.
I beat around the bush for a year, but the point being is that once I made it, all I had to do was choose. It was literally just a choice in my head. And I decided that's now a priority for me because I want that. And
Right.
because I want that journey and some of those outcomes. And then it was, now we're in the middle of it, and now we've progressed, and now we're impacting people's lives, and we're growing, and we have all these great things going as a result of it, and we're starting to see some of those positive benefits.
Yep. The effects.
Yeah, and it's the complete perfect analogy for people's fitness. You can look how it's going to take your time. You're going to be tired. It's going to cut into your sleep. It's going to cut into your family life. What are you going to do with your kids? How are you going to balance it with work? How are you going to stay disciplined when you're eating? And how are you going to not succumb to the temptation of bad foods and say no to social events and not be able to drink if you like to drink alcohol? Like all these different things. Or you have to quit smoking because you're a smoker. Like whatever. I used to smoke. I think I've told this story. I smoked a half pack of cigarettes a day for 2 years straight. But it wasn't until I realized that fitness was a priority for me because I wanted to do good in martial arts.
Right.
All of a sudden, it was easy to quit, even though I tried to quit 4 times before because I knew it was the healthy thing to do.
Well, it's a switch.
But health wasn't a priority. It was my passion.
You had to have that switch flipped.
Yeah.
And so I guess based off of what we're talking about, I think we've kind of analyzed the idea of how the failure corresponds with choices, and drive and all those kinds of things and excuses. So I guess we should go into the idea of ways to what is the benefit. So
Of fitness.
So what's going to ultimately happen if you're more fit? You can do more things, like you said. If you have got to the point where you're lifting a certain amount of weight, if something comes up in your life, you're going to be able to move that kind of weight in a realistic perspective because you need to move it, which you wouldn't be able to do on a physical level if you haven't been keeping yourself fit. Let's use resistance training specifically on this category, but you're not using resistance training, so you can't pick that weight up because it's too heavy for you. In a year, that might be a light weight that you can move pretty easily, and you may need to move it. That's a realistic reason for someone to be fit. If you have,
I think that one of the things that people need to realize is they think I have to invest all this time just to maintain this thing, and it's true. There is a time investment.
There's a timeline,
but the amount of time you save as a result of that new fitness level, it's clear that productivity increases. Okay, so you're going to do better at work. You're probably going to be more efficient. You're going to have better mental focus. You're going to get your projects done faster. You'll be able to either get more done or get done earlier.
Right.
Okay, you're going to have better mood, which means you're going to be a better person in your relationship. You're not going to be as negative or as irritable. You're going to be a better father or mother to your children. Or a better sibling or whatever because of those cognitive benefits and the physiological effects and in bettering your mood and outlook on life. You're going to have a more positive outlook on life. There's tons of psychological research done on exercise and the impacts it has on psychology. Again, like you said, literal translations into physical endeavors. You'll be able to engage in more sports, or just physical activities that'll expand your social horizons, help you meet other fitness positive-minded people. So to say that fitness is just a thing to maintain is not entirely correct. It adds so much to your life and makes your life so much more efficient.
Absolutely, it's so valuable overall for the person. It's crazy that it's not. It's not that it's crazy. It's hard for me to understand why people don't perceive it as a necessity. Yeah. And not just because you want to do it, because you need to do it. Because, being at the age I am, which, again, I'm not ancient or anything, but my joints are all starting to break down, and it's like I always tell people when they see me lifting, and a lot of guys will, again, I'm not doing an astronomical amount of weight, but they'll see what I'm doing and they'll say, gosh, you're embarrassing me because I'm doing, more weight than they can. And they're like, I can't use that as an excuse after I watch you lift. And I say, the funny thing is, why do I lift? I lift and I work out and I do things because I'm fighting the age that I'm going through. I'm fighting my pains. I'm fighting my aches. I'm making it so that I have a better quality of life because I want to be able to keep moving for my entire life. So I brought LaLanne up. He's a prime example of what I would like to see myself be able to do at that age. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I get it. Like, I'm still very young, but the longer you live, the more you realize how short every year, every month, every week, every day really is.
It feels faster.
I can only imagine how fast each of the days pass for you, having experienced much more of life than I have, because they're already passing super fast for me. Like, a month will go by like that, and I don't even realize it. And I'm like, holy crap, what have I truly done of quality for my life and my experience here in the last 30 days? Because it's gone now. And so, like, I want to have as much of that as I can.
Makes sense.
Because I want to have as much life experience and quality life experience.
That's the key to it, too.
Yeah.
Just living, to me, if I was to use a really weird analogy, but if I was a head in a jar that was still alive and could still think.
Like Futurama.
That I did, right? So I was just sitting there and wasn't moving. That isn't life to me. That's not a quality of life. Okay? Even if I could imagine anything, I can't do anything truly. I'm just sitting isolated. As your body breaks down, that's what you are physically starting to go into.
It's the law of use and disuse. If you don't use it, you lose it. And, whatever you want to call it, Mother Nature or whatever, your body will start to deteriorate itself.
Yes, absolutely. And I think
you literally start to whittle away.
And I think the key is being smart about how you do it. That's the reason why, again, I'm not a hater of CrossFit. I keep bringing it up because the ballistic reactions for someone that's an older age, it's going to be hard on them.
Oh yeah,
and
very risky.
Right, and when you're younger, if you get the moves down, it's a different scenario, right? Because if you go into having done for years, you're going to be able to do it. Your body's going to be able to it's more conducive to your body's natural makeup at that point because you've built to it. But for me, that's a key to why you want to do fitness. The whole point is so that you can keep yourself in a physical point where your body isn't breaking down as much as it's going to.
Oh yeah.
It deteriorates so much faster if you sit and wait. We talked, again, talking about obesity. We didn't talk about this in more detail, but I think part of the obesity problem is when you sit around and don't do much, your body's hormonal reaction goes towards a heavier lifestyle because you don't need muscle. You start to lose your muscle mass, and your body itself is going to increase in fat because that's what it does for survival. And so it's preparing you for that. That makes you less able to do things. So what are some key reasons to be fit? For your family, for yourself, for your community. If something happens in your community, you have less capacity to do it with the less fitness that you have in your life. And I think if people actually perceive what it does for themselves, if they want to be very selfish about it, is immense alone.
Well, when it comes down to it, like you said, if you're coming at it from a perspective of what can a person contribute, unless you are your best physical self, you cannot give your best self to other people.
You can give the best that you've got, but you can't give the best that you could do.
Exactly. You're not maximizing that true potential.
Exactly right.
And that's a personal choice that people have to make. Is do I want to be my best self in all aspects?
Sure.
Because there's other categories of life too that you'll have to develop.
Sure.
Your mental and your education and your social and your emotional.
But that's all part of fitness.
It is.
Every key of that is part of fitness.
Yeah, it's all influenced by it.
Like we've talked about before. In fact, we talked about, the whole life challenge. The whole point of fitness is a absolute, complete body, mind, spirit, whatever you want to call all the aspects of it. All that ties into fitness. People can think that it's lifting weights, it's running, cardio stuff, all that kind of stuff. But the reality is, every aspect of it is part of it. Mental, physical, spiritual, any of those kind of things tie into fitness.
Yeah. And that's the approach that I come at it from, because my personal philosophy is I want to be the best tailor that I can be. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's going to be different from person to person, but I want to maximize my experiences, and I want to be capable of more than I have been before. And I want to, like I said, I'm kind of a person that focuses on all or nothing. Like if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it 100%, or I'm not doing it at all.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that have that same mentality. Not everyone does. And so some people might say, I want to kind of glide through life and just kind of do what I need to do to get by so that I can do some of the things that, like I would rather do and whatever. And my opinion, like, that's fine. That's your lifestyle. Like, I'm not judging you, but for me, I would hate that. Like, that's, to me, I view that for myself as laziness. I view that as not maximizing the gifts that I've been given, the talents, and like,
well, it's partly because you want to share
the impacts.
too.
Yeah, the impacts that I've made and I can make, that I know I can contribute in the future. And so that's why it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah. No, and I agree
now,
with
is
that.
there times when I wax and wane in my discipline? Absolutely, like anyone else.
Yeah, who
but
doesn't?
the commitment is always there. Like I've even told people, and God forbid this happen, but I said, even if my legs are taken from me, I want to be that trainer that's a trainer in a wheelchair, like to show people like I said, like climbing up a multi-station doing pull-ups myself, like showing that you can still be the best physical you possible, and to be a motivator, because like that's just the life that I've carved out for myself, and that's what I want.
Right.
And if that experience ever happened, I don't know how it all would work out, but that's again, what I've mentally made the switch to, and changed my belief system about how important physical fitness is in my life.
For sure. And see, I was going to say that corresponds again with your mental fitness, because psychologically speaking, you lose your legs and you have a massive psychological block.
Totally perfect reason to stop.
Absolutely. And somebody that goes forward with that and keeps pushing, it's only better for them. So like I said, even if you let's be realistic. We don't want to make this hugely long, and I think it's probably getting close to it right now. But that being said, so on a purely selfish basis, it makes you better. It makes life easier for you physically, overall,
and more enjoyable,
without question. So there's good, valuable reasons why you should do this just
for you.
Yep. Okay. If you have a family, if you're going to be there for them, the best way to be there for them,
set the example,
is to be able to go forward and be able to do these things and be able to do certain things that they can't do, again, if they're out of too much shape.
Well, when you talk about kids, sometimes it's bigger than people think.
Absolutely.
You have now put this person in this world, and you are responsible for that creature.
Want to be or not?
You know what I mean? For that
want to be or
person.
not? Absolutely.
And it is now your responsibility to educate them and teach them how to live a good life, if you're coming at it from a moral perspective or an ethical perspective.
Sure.
So you better teach them about their health and how to live a good life physically. Even if you don't live as good a physical life, because that's the choice that you make, they should still know that is a tool that they can have to create quality and value in their life.
For sure.
And that's your responsibility.
Yep.
So I've had a lot of clients come to me just for that reason. They said, you know what? I've let myself go, and I'm realizing how big of a health impact this is having. And even though if I died, as a result of my medical state, my husband would still be here to take care of my kids or whatever. They're like, but I want to set the example. I'm realizing that my kids, are the kids that are the fat kids and bullied at school, or they don't know what good nutrition is. They don't know what physical activity can do for them. And I've always known that's a good thing in life, but I've just never made it a priority. And now I'm going to make it a priority because I owe it to them.
Right.
And that's one of the biggest motivations I've seen in serious parents,
Well, and again, if you have an emergency, if you're in bad physical condition, you have a harder time being able to deal with an emergency. Much worse than if you're fit. I mean, if something happens, car accidents, whatever, you're going to have more likelihood of surviving them. You're actually be able to do things usually if you're more fit, beyond what you could do if you weren't. And so again, that's when you start talking about it. But when you go on a social level, it's the same concept again, because you're trying to help people move forward. You're trying to do things that you would not be able to do in a lot of senses if you're not fit. Mental, physical, psychological, all those things, like I said, tie into this. But when you start putting it all into those categories, right, and you tie them all together, there's so much riding on fitness, and the world itself is slowly but surely going down the road finally of a fit type scenario as a whole. Before it wasn't as much a requirement because you had to live in such a way that kept you more fit. But as technology has come, and this is another key to the reasons why there's a lot of failures. You throw technology in there, and it's like, well, why do I need to walk? I can drive. Why would I need to run down there when I can drive down there? I'm going to drive down instead and use a car and get down there in this way. Or even taking a more society-based intelligent move and say, oh, I'm going to ride the bus. That's still riding. You're not moving. You're not doing those kind of things. Technology is slowly but surely deteriorating society, not because it's a bad thing, it's a good thing, but on top of that, they should be moving themselves forward to keep themselves moving in the direction
now, because it's not a necessity for normal life function.
Right.
It is being pushed along the wayside.
Yes, and I think that's a bigger reason why people need to have fitness-oriented mentalities. People talk about levels of toughness in the world today, and the reality is you take a guy that's pretty dang tough in the society we live in, and you throw him back 200 years, and he probably won't make it. And they are legitimately tough. I'm not saying they're not tough, but mentally is not going to make it so physically they can be able to withstand the things that happened 200 years ago. And so that's why I'm saying about fitness, and when you bring up this talk, I think people need to understand that it is so important that they keep moving themselves, because that's what the body was made for. If you don't do those things, again, you'll have depression higher. You'll have all these things that happen, anxieties, and all these kind of things that will happen on a psychological level, just because you're not in good shape and you're having a harder time with it. And I think that's why when you tie these things together, I think that's some of the things that people need to understand so that they can push themselves. I don't think they should, again, making this thing something that's easier to look forward to and to move into it. I still think that people need to move into it in stages. I still think they need to do this.
It needs to be gradual.
Right. Intelligently done.
It depends on the person. There
Agreed.
are some people that
That's
respond
true.
really well and make
pressure.
permanent change based off of rock bottom situations or
I'm that kind of guy,
quantum
though, and you
leaps.
know that.
And even though I dissed on quantum leap mentalities in a past episode, there are people that respond to that. The vast majority of people statistically will respond to gradual interventions.
Yes, and
consistent over time.
It's usually the smartest way to move through this. And like I said, I think that we should make this ultimate goal in this episode is to help people understand that they can do this in stages. They need to move forward and they need to keep pushing themselves. And it doesn't. You don't go through and you don't destroy yourself in workouts. You just move forward gradually. If you are
That's
the type,
slow progression.
Exactly right. If
Consistent progression.
If you're the same kind of mentality that I am, which I have a lot of stupidity in how I do things because of my injuries, you're probably going to go beyond that. But that's something that's personally driven, right? I've had my shoulder, as we've talked about outside of this, pop out while I've been doing bench presses and still finished it. And that's crazy. Most people shouldn't do that. I shouldn't do that. Let's be real. That's dumb because it's hard on my joints. But that being said, that's how my mind works, and I have to push myself that way. If you're like that, then do it. But the thing is, do it.
Don't necessarily push if you've dislocated your shoulder.
No, that's a mistake. But the whole point is if you're not doing it because it's too hard, take steps slowly to move
The
forward.
only way that you can advance your life, advance the quality of your life, attain new levels or experiences is by stretching yourself to be uncomfortable.
Right.
The second you become comfortable, you stop growing, you stop experiencing, and now you're stagnant. And that's how a lot of people experience depression and midlife crises and things like that. You have to continually push yourself to grow if you want to get the most out of life, and fitness is absolutely one of those things, because you're constantly, there's always something to work on to be better at physically.
For sure.
You'll never achieve the highest level of fitness in all aspects, because fitness is such a dynamic thing. You can be fit in so many different ways. You can always improve on things.
Well, and then let's take the next stage of that. You can get to your highest level and you're still fighting your body breaking down. So there's no end to fitness.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be at 90, the odds of you being the same fitness level as you are at 30 is almost zero. Okay. And so you have a fight to go through your entire life. Like I said, it's a journey. But here's something I want to throw out there to everybody out there. You matter. I mean, the reality is you matter. Your family matters. Your friends matter. The group that you're around matters. Affect them in a good way. Push yourself in such a way that you actually can move forward and help everybody around you. Just for yourself, realize that you matter. If people around you make you feel like you don't matter, you do. And take fitness into your own hands and move forward and make things better. If you have some blocking points because you don't want to go to the gym because you're embarrassed, then figure out how to do something at home. Do push-ups, do pull-ups. In fact, we probably should talk about an episode one of these times.
The key is literally just making changes.
Absolutely.
Movement is life. It
Yep.
keeps the machine that your body is running and progressing.
Well, but I want you to understand, especially since we have talked about depression, we have talked about things like anxiety. Understand that you matter, okay? And that in and of itself should be a moving point to make yourself matter more to yourself. Even
you deserve to be at whatever physical level you desire
that you can
achieve. Yeah,
absolutely.
You deserve that for yourself.
Reach for the highest goals you can.
Just like everyone deserves to be happy, everyone deserves a certain inalienable rights, right? Like,
yes, absolutely.
And if fitness is something that you value, that is your right.
But I think that's something that we all need to value. That's the reason why I say, because just for personal needs.
Yeah. The last thing that I really wanted to say about it is the reason I came into this saying it's your fault, or you know what I mean, and why people consistently fail at it is because of that mindset and that approach and the specific way they structure their life. We talked about it being a choice. They've chosen to follow a specific life structure, and they've chosen to view fitness and obviously I'm generalizing, but people have chosen to view fitness as a negative thing, and they have chosen to orient their life around that idea. Mm-hmm. that fitness is something hard. Fitness is something that is not sustainable. Fitness is something I'm going to cycle every year around New Year's resolutions. Fitness is something that I can't attain because I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too disabled, I'm too young, I'm too whatever. I'm too tall, I'm too short, blah blah blah. If you orient your life around health and fitness, that's when everything shifts. The problem is people, and sometimes our society promotes this, people orient their lives around technology, television, sedentary lifestyles, desk jobs, fast food, processed foods, easy things, quick fixes. You've built your life to make you unhealthy. Rebuild your life in a way that is healthy. If you value your health, you have to cut out these cancers in a way that are contributing to you being unhealthy.
Right.
It's not until you say, okay, I want to enjoy fitness. I want to feel so fit that I actually enjoy going to the gym. I feel crappy going to the gym right now because I'm not capable or because I'm embarrassed. I don't want to feel that way anymore. I'm going to feel positive, and I'm going to get to that point. And I'm going to make it a priority because I want to feel better and perform well at work. I'm going to bring my own lunch, and I'm going to eat well, or at least when I go out, I'm going to make a healthier choice than the unhealthy choice, because I'm going to orient and build my life around health and fitness. And that's the problem that I see, is people live lives of in opposition to fitness, and then try to throw fitness in to make it work. That's not how it's going to happen. There's too many other cumulative factors impacting. I mean, will they see some benefit? Yes, but as a long-term consistent lifestyle change, you literally, when I say lifestyle change, it's not just I'm going to bring fitness in, it's I am going to change the way my life is built right now. All those different components that contribute to that machine, you have to pull them out and restructure them. And I think if you build a life in all aspects oriented around health, wellness, fitness, happiness, that is going to be better than if right now you're saying I'm dissatisfied, or he said 2 or 3 things that I have in my life that are taking away from my fitness. You need to really analyze what's more important to me, and do I really want the one thing that I have right now that is a temporary short-term pleasure, or it's easy, or it's easier to commit to, or do I want that long-term result? And then you start replacing things. And again, it's a gradual change, but that's the biggest problem that I see is people want the health, but they aren't willing to restructure their life that is already unhealthy, because the two won't coincide.
Right. Well, and I want to kind of amplify what you said. I think as a group, because we're trying to build a group, with us,
community, yeah,
a community to better even the world. I think using fitness as a point of contact between all of us makes us so that we can have more strength in what we're doing moving forward, and we want to make society a better place. We want it better for everybody around us. We want it better for between them and us and them, so that we are all connected, and we can make it so that our lives are better, and we can move to better goals. You know, we want technology to get better. We want our lives in the world to get better. We want our health to get better, and you know, our podcast goals, as we've talked about many times before, we're focused on the idea of fitness. But when we were talking about it, that includes everything. I mean, that includes technology, technically, and all the other things surrounding it. When you talk obstacles and you talk about things that are achievable, let's talk about people like Muggsy Bogues, who was 5'3" and played in as a starter in the NBA. You know, and you talk about Spud Webb, who is also a starter at 5'7", and he was dunking the basketball and winning the dunk contest at 5'7" over guys that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'8", you know, and there's achievable things. Do I think everybody's going to be able to jump at 5'7" up and dunk a basketball? Probably not, because that's a genetic gift. But that being said, it proves that things are achievable, and if we can unite and move forward, you know, I applaud someone who weighs 500 pounds and gets up and starts to move. People are going to make fun. The honest to goodness truth is, people are going to make fun of that. They really are. And the reality is, who cares what they think? The reality is, if you're moving forward and you're bettering yourself and you're doing stuff, ultimately, if they're paying attention, they'll applaud, because they'll see that you've done something great, something that they probably can't do themselves. As a matter of fact, the odds are they're going to be trying to drag you down and the movement up, because they don't think they can do it. And so if you do it, it makes them feel lesser.
Well, and what happens is, when people do that, when someone sees another succeeding above them, it shows that person that they are capable of that.
Absolutely.
And it embarrasses them.
Absolutely.
To themselves, because they realize, I could do that, but I choose not to. So
right.
I'm going to pull that person down so that I don't have to see that anymore.
Absolutely. And I applaud anybody who's moving forward. I applaud with as much as I can possibly do so. So grab onto it and move forward. I really want to emphasize that. I really do want to say I applaud. I don't know if there's more to add than that.
I think that sums it up good.
Sweet.
So we love you, people. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to join our community and help spread that positivity, join us at Metabolic Radio private forum on Facebook. And so hope that gave you guys some insight into our views on how to adopt a fitness lifestyle.
Yep, keep kicking.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Shane and I hope you learned something new and exciting today about your own health and fitness. Head over to metabolicradio.com. There you'll find our bios and our results-driven programs that are designed to help teach you everything you need to know when it comes to getting real permanent results. You can also sign up for our newsletter to get free weekly updates. To chat with Shane or I, just email us at taylor@metabolicradio.com or shane@metabolicradio.com. We would love to hear from you. You can also join the conversation on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and search for Metabolic Radio Private Forum. There you can request to join the group. We would love to add you to the conversation and answer your questions on the show. And hey, if you like our podcast, please help us grow our community by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. We would really appreciate your help. Thanks again so much for all your support and your listenership. Now go out there and spread the good word of fitness.